Let us understand the fifth topic of the fourth unit of paper 1, Philosophical Perspectives of Education, of Bachelor of Education. The fifth topic deals with the reflecting on the paradigm shift from discipline centered to learner centered curriculum. So, slowly we are shifting our curriculum from discipline centered to learner centered curriculum. Earlier, the curriculum was mostly discipline centered, but nowadays, mostly the learner centered curriculum we are adapting. So, first, let us know the difference between this discipline centered curriculum and learner centered curriculum. Discipline centered curriculum, everything revolves around the subject or disciplines. That means the selection of the topics and selection of the concepts and the number of units and the type of activities to be given to the students and the kind of assignments to be given to the students. Everything will be revolving around the subject only. So it doesn't take care of the age limits or age stages of the students. Whereas a learner-centered curriculum is at the learner is the center stage. Learners' needs, learners' interests and abilities, learners' motivational levels with respect to different stages of education like primary, upper primary and secondary stage. Because at the primary level, the children are motivated in some way. At upper primary level, the children are motivated to do more activities, and the at the secondary stage, the children like to engage in more abstract thinking. So that's the reason the motivational levels also varies from stage to stage. And learners' past experiences are also taken into consideration. Their aspirations are also taken into considerations while prescribing the curriculum. So that's how we can differentiate the discipline-centered curriculum and learner-centered curriculum. And now let us know the details of what do you mean by discipline-centered curriculum and learner-centered curriculum. In discipline-centered curriculum, the curriculum is measured by the yardstick of attainment of mastery over the discipline. How many concepts are understood by the student and how many topics are dumped into that curriculum. So this is only focusing only on the yardstick of attainment of the mastery over the discipline. How much knowledge the student is attaining. And this type of curriculum tends to encourage memorization of the content areas mechanically. So the discipline-centered curriculum, since it's containing a more number of topics, and children don't find sufficient time to explore the things experimentally or experientially. So they resort to memorization of the concepts, and that too mechanically, without understanding the derivatives and applications of the topics. In addition to this, the discipline-centered curriculum mostly focuses on what to learn in the place of how to learn. So there is no scope for giving the students to enough time to design their own learning styles. Only this has to be learned by you. That's it. And this is the rule of the thumb of discipline-centered curriculum. And as a result, the students will be going on learning the things without focusing much on innovation and creation of the things and understanding the things holistically. And discipline centered curriculum also makes the child a passive organism who is destined to learn at the mercy of the teacher. Their needs and interests are not taken care. So the students will become passive learners. And further, in the discipline-centered curriculum, examination is considered as be all and end all of the discipline. This is more examination oriented. See, the presently our schooling system is also more examination oriented. How many marks you are getting, how best you are giving examination, how best you are getting ready for the examination. This is only focused rather than how much you efficient knowledge you have acquired and how many derivatives and applications you have derived out of your knowledge. This is not bothered. And next, the curriculum is not at all related to the life of the learners outside the school because the discipline centered curriculum does not focus on the experiential learning, so it focuses more on the subject inputs. So, as a result, the learners outside school life is not taken into consideration in this discipline centered curriculum. And the major drawback of the curriculum is the fact that knowledge is divided into watertight compartments. In this discipline centered curriculum, knowledge is divided into watertight compartments. This is science, this is social, this is language, and this is mathematics. Thus, relegating the principle of integration and correlation of the disciplines to the background. So, there is no focus on the integration and correlation of the subjects. And further, there is no scope for transfer of learning and for the teachers to bring outside world into the classroom. Since there is no correlation among the subjects, the students cannot obtain the skill of transfer of learning of one subject to other. Usually, if there is any correlation, students, if they learn one subject, they can really transfer that learning to learn other subjects. In this discipline centered learning, this is not possible. And next, let us see the components of the learner centered curriculum. Learner centered curriculum is a sharp opposite to the subject or discipline centered curriculum. This is totally opposite to the discipline centered curriculum. In this, importance is attached to the learners. Learner is at the center stage. There is no dumping of the concepts, there is no dumping of the topics without considering the students' needs and aspirations. So the students' needs and aspirations are taken into consideration, and learners' interests and abilities and motivational level, past experiences, aspirations, etc., are taken into consideration. So this gives more focus to the learner. See, forget what amount of knowledge they are getting with respect to the subject knowledge, but how best they have understood the subject to lead their life successfully and efficiently and effectively, to solve their problems efficiently and effectively. So this is focused while designing the learner-centered curriculum. So there will be more number of activities, more number of assignments, and more number of workshops and work experiences will be embedded in the curriculum. So in learning learner-centered curriculum, stress is laid upon who to teach in place of what to teach. Who to teach means the students to be taught. There is no much focus on what to teach. And next, the student is the focus of educational activities. Whatever the educational activities, may it be teaching, may it be practical experiences, may it be experiential learning, may it be field work, and may it be other assignments and projects. So here, all these educational activities are focusing the students. So their motivational level, age levels, and their creativity and innovation and uniqueness is also upheld. And further, in this learner-centered curriculum, as teaching and learning activities are geared to address their needs and problems, they are allowed to exercise their freedom to generate knowledge on their own way. This is kind of constructive approach. The students will be given sufficient freedom to generate knowledge on their own. So, in addition to this textbook knowledge, the students are also allowed to build the knowledge based on the textbook knowledge. And this definitely develops a lot of creative abilities among the students. And the students' practical knowledge also will be uh, uh, increasing. And next, in this learner-centered curriculum, students decides what to learn and in what extent. So students' opinions are also taken into consideration and what they want to learn and to what extent they want to learn. See, unnecessarily, students should not be imposed to learn many subjects without their willingness. There is no use also. If the students are more interested to learn some 4 or 5 subjects, let them limit to that subjects only. And in each subject, if the students wants to learn certain topics and they don't want to learn certain other topics, let the students learn the same thing. So this is the criteria while selecting and the components of the curriculum. The students also will be given a chance to decide what to learn. And in the learner-centered curriculum, role of the teacher is subsidiary. Teacher is considered as a facilitator who helps children construct knowledge. Being uh, as a facilitator, and the teacher will be basing the learning experiences on the past experience of the children and the observational capabilities of the children. So that's how the learner-centered curriculum encompasses method of teaching that shifts the focus of instruction from teacher to the learner. Further, the learner-centered curriculum aims at developing learner autonomy and independence by putting responsibility for the learning path in the hands of the students. Here, learner exercises more autonomy than the teacher. If the student comes out that, sir, I don't want to learn this, then it's okay. But of course, with certain amount of guidance to be given to the students by the teacher. And with this kind of guidance, the students will be deciding what to learn and what not to learn. This learner autonomy is exercised and it also addresses the individual differences by meeting their needs and abilities. In this learner centered curriculum, individual differences are catered to because some students learn fast, some students learn slowly, and some students want to do experimentation, and some students want to adapt to experiential learning. So, these kinds of individual differences will be met in this learner centered curriculum. And further, the learner learns in a learner friendly environment without any element of punishment or fear. See, there is no room for punishment in this learner centered curriculum. And the learning environment is also learner friendly. So, if the child wants to learn in the fields, the teacher has to provide that learning experience. If the learner wants to learn the things in the laboratory, the teacher has to provide the laboratory experience. So this kind of learner-friendly environment is generated without scolding or without finding fault with the students or without blaming the students. And then all children learn at their own pace in an enabling environment. So self-pacing is allowed. Children are not put to competition, and children are not compared with the performance of others. Children will be learning at their own pace. So this really enhances their capability to understand the subjects. But some precaution has to be taken by the teacher that in the name of this autonomy, or in the name of that you can learn how much you want. Negligence from the part of the students should not be encouraged and allowed. So if at all any student is taking leniency of this kind of learning at own pace, should not lead to negligence of learning the things. So to that extent, the teacher has to intervene, and the teacher has to guide the students. Of course, teacher is going to play the role of facilitator. Further, learner-centered curriculum gives primacy to the learners' experiences, their voices, and their active participation. So students are also coming to the school with immense experiences, and their experiences will be given weightage, and their voices are heard, and their active participation is encouraged in this learner-centered curriculum. And this learner-centered curriculum provides a plethora of opportunities to children for construction of knowledge instead of memorization. Memorization is not encouraged at all, and the children are allowed to construct the knowledge, and this will develop creativity among the students and to make them to think innovatively, and they also make different combination of the things they are learning, and as a result they'll become vertical creators, and they create something new out of what they learn. Further, it provides a space for them to question and inquire and debate, reflect, and arrive at concepts or create new ideas. So, with this kind of environment, definitely the students will start questioning the status quo, and they will be questioning which are having ambiguity, and they also inquire into the things of the subject on their own, and they also debate with the teacher and classmates. They reflect upon the concepts from their own perspective, and based on their own life experiences. And as a result, they learn to arrive uh, to create certain things, and also certain new ideas will be generated by the students. And from the pedagogical standpoints, learner-centered curriculum is based on the following premises. See, with respect to the teaching methodologies, the learner-centered curriculum is based on teaching practice should involve all the students in the learning tasks without any discrimination. So while the teachers are taking the training, it has to involve all the students in the learning tasks without any exception. And next, the teachers teach the students how to learn, how to think, how to solve, how to hypothesize, how to analyze and evaluate. See, in the teaching process, students are also made a part of the pedagogy. It's not a one-way communication; it is a two-way communication. And teachers teach the students certain skills of how to learn, how to think. They train the students how to solve the problems, and how to hypothesize, and how to test them, and how to analyze and evaluate the hypothesis. So this kind of vibrant environment to definitely make the children more active and more contributing and more dynamic. And in fact, this attracts each and every student, because each and every student is honored and each and every student's experiences are taken into consideration. Teaching encourages learners to reflect on what and how they are learning. See, the learners also reflect by themselves, by the encouragement of teachers, what they are learning, how they are learning. So these kinds of facilities are there in this learner-centered curriculum, and the pedagogical practices also will be changing in this learner-centered curriculum. Lecture method and this kind of inactive, passive learning is not allowed in this learner-centered curriculum. Further, focusing on motivating students to learn at their own pace, thus they are the controllers of the learning process. It is not the teacher who pressurizes the child to learn the things at the expectations of the teachers. No, the students only decide. Once they want to spend some extra time to learn certain things, they will be allowed. And if they want to take some extra time, they are allowed. And if they want to learn some extra things, they are allowed. So this kind of facilities the provided in this learner centered curriculum, but it is difficult to implement in the school setup. Certain other facilities and infrastructure facilities and teachers also should be in more number, and certain special timetables also should be prepared where the students only work for some hours in a week, like that. And the learner centered teaching is encouraged in collaboration. See, there are the teachers also sometimes team teaching and that kind of techniques are also used in this learner centered curriculum. That means two teachers together will be taking the class, and further knowledge is generated, not transmitted as raw subject. See, whatever the basic ideas that are there, they will be built upon the personal experience of the students. The knowledge is not given directly to the students. And next, knowledge is taken as a continuum as generated from experiences in the actual field through observation, verification, and transmission. See how wonderfully the students will understand the things when they are learning from the field and when they are learning through their observation and they are verifying on themselves and also transmitting to their classmates. And understanding that the learners needs to be given top priority, that we have understood. And let us compare these two uh, styles of curriculum framing. See, the discipline centered and learner centered. Now, whatever we have discussed so far, just let us consolidate the differences and how the presently the school curriculum is shifting from discipline centered to learner centered. Gradually, almost we have completed that process. Nowadays, more of the learner centered curriculum inputs are introduced into the school curriculum. Let us briefly consolidate the major shift from the discipline centered to learner centered. See, the discipline centered curriculum will be more teacher centric and will have stable design, whereas the learner centered curriculum will be learner centric and there will be more flexible process. And discipline centered curriculum, there will be teacher direction and decision, whereas in this learner autonomy and freedom. And next, in discipline centered curriculum, teacher is a monitor of learning, whereas in the learner centered curriculum, Teacher plays only a facilitator role. He is only supporter and encourages learning. And another major shift is that in discipline-centered curriculum, learning space is within four walls of classroom in discipline-centered curriculum. But whereas in learner-centered curriculum, learning is provided in wider social context. That means students will be taken out, students will be taken to the field, will be taken to the different organizations. That means the students will be getting first-hand knowledge. And another thing, another major shift between discipline-centered to learner-centered curriculum is learning is passive in discipline-centered curriculum, whereas in learner-centered curriculum, learning is active process and entails active participation of learners in learning process. And further, in discipline-centered curriculum, knowledge is fixed and given from one end, whereas in learner-centered curriculum, knowledge is evolved and created. See, the students' creative thoughts will be encouraged and honored. And another shift is that in discipline-centered curriculum, disciplinary focus is made. That means subject knowledge, dumping of the subject knowledge. And single subject will be uh, dumped with several concepts. So this is science, this is this thing, this is maths, this is language, like that. Whereas in learner-centered curriculum, a multidisciplinary focus is made. That means the subjects will be taught in a collaborative manner and in correlation style. And students will be offered to learn the subjects as per their interest and as per their aspirations. So, multidisciplinary focus is made in the learner-centered curriculum. And another major shift is that from discipline-centered to learner-centered curriculum is discipline-centered curriculum will provide a linear exposure, a straight line kind of exposure, whereas the learner-centered curriculum will provide multiple exposures. That means the multiple exposures are designed and provided to the students. Next, another shift is that discipline-centered curriculum, the curriculum will be short and few appraisal. That means at the end of some quarters, end of the 6 months, that time only the appraisal of the students' development will be made. Whereas in learner-centered curriculum, the appraisal of the students' development will be regular and in a continuous manner. And likewise, there are so many other shifts from discipline-centered to learner-centered curriculum that in the discipline-centered curriculum, teaching practices revolves around one subject, whereas in the learner-centered curriculum, teaching practice revolves around many contexts across the curriculum. And further, in discipline-centered curriculum, content is divided into separate and distinct disciplines. So we call them as the silos. That means one subject means that only, no correlation with other subject. So the subjects are taught as a standalone disciplines. Whereas in this learner-centered curriculum, content is not fragmented or broken into isolated compartments. So the silos are broken. That means subjects correlation, integration is encouraged to understand the knowledge as a whole. So this makes the students to understand the things in a holistic perspective. And then content is not suited to individual difference of the students in discipline centered, whereas the content takes into consideration the individual difference among the students. And lastly, the choice of selection of the subjects is limited in the discipline-centered curriculum, whereas students can have multiple choice of selection of the subjects in learner-centered curriculum. So, the more the number of choices are given to the students, the better the students will excel in the studies. Instead of we prescribing only limited subjects, as it is there in the discipline-centered curriculum. That's how we can understand the major shift from the discipline-centered to the learner-centered curriculum. Now, the present order of the day is learner-centered curriculum.